Jayati Parashara Sonuhu Satyavati Hridaya Nandano Vyasaha Yasya Asya Kamala Galitam Vangmayam Amritam Jagat Pibati. Vedavyasa is the son, Parashara Sonuhu. Parashara Rishi's son, and this is the shloka that talks about Bhagavan Vedavyasa.
Utpattim nidhanam chaiva.
Yes.
Bhutanam agatim gatim. Vetti vidyam avidyancha savachyo bhagavaniti.
Bhagavaniti.
Definition of Bhagavan.
Yes.
Or when he just closes his eyes and opens, in that thousands and crores of Brahmandas have come and gone. That is the Vyapti of the Bhagavanta that Madhvacharya talks about.
Bhinnascha bhinna dharmascha.
Correct.
It is pure scientific theory.
Correct.
That is why Madhvacharya's Siddhanta, it is very much scientist friendly.
It is not necessary that one has to be a Vishishtadvaitin. He can still be an Advaitin, he can be a Dvaitin and still have a loving devotion towards Paramatma. The first step is Paropakaraya Satam Vibhutaya, to be of good help to fellow beings.
There is a Vishishta plus it is Advaita that has to have Advaita component, and since it talks about Vishnu Sarvottamatva, there is so many things that is it, and there is a Jiva and Paramatma Bheda. So there is a Dvaita concept also in this.
As per Advaita, they become one. There is identification with Paramatma and Jivatma, self-identity. Since Vishishtadvaita, the Sampradaya of Ramanuja, as I mentioned, it is feeling oriented.
Chaturvedah Puranani, Sarvopanishadastatha, Ramayanam Bharatancha, Gita Saddarshanani cha, Jainagamaha Tripitakaha, Guru Grantha Satangiraha, Yeshaha Jnananidhihi Shresthaha, Shraddheyo Hridi Sarvada. That is how now this is the high time to integrate all these things.
Welcome all of you to today's very special philosophical discussion, panel discussion and a podcast on Bhagavan Sri Vedavyasa. Bhagavan Sri Vedavyasa, the integrating force that integrates all the schools of thought, that is Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishtadvaita. And today we are going to explore how Bhagavan Vedavyasa, the common guru for all the Vedantic schools, is the ultimate, and through which how different visions, different darshanas came through, and how all these darshanas talk about the ultimate reality, the greatness of the human life and reaching that one supreme Almighty. And what are the paths to that? The paths may be different, but the goal is the same, that is to understand the ultimate truth and live in that truth, in that ultimate bliss. In fact, today we are here in Veda Vijnana Gurukula, one of the oldest and the biggest Gurukula in India, and it is also our privilege to have with us today the Chancellor of Veda Vijnana Gurukula, Shri Ramachandra Bhatt Kotemaneji. Ramachandra Bhatt Kotemaneji, very warm welcome to you, and it is our pleasure that we are here in this institution of great knowledge, and today we are also blessed to have you as the leading light in terms of understanding Bhagavan Vedavyasa, and very warm welcome to you.
Welcome to you also, because you have chosen this serene and pure atmosphere of Veda Vijnana Gurukulam. Today's great image in front of us, before us, it is great Vedavyasa.
Thank you. And also, since we are talking about the Vedantic schools of thought, the Advaita Darshana of Shankara Bhagavatpada and Vishishtadvaita Darshana of Sri Ramanuja, and also Dvaita Darshana of Madhvacharya. And today to represent the Ramanuja Sampradaya, we have with us Vidwan Sri Aditya Rangan sir. Sir, welcome to you for this panel discussion.
Namaste. Thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity to be part of this great discussion on Sri Vedavyasa Bhagavan.
In this first round, we will explore what are the sampradayas of each of the schools of thought. Guruji, my question is Shankar Bhagavad Pada's school of thought in terms of what is the parampara, what is the role of Bhagavan Vedavyasa, and how going above Shankara Bhagavad Pada, from where this lineage starts and where would Vedavyasa, Bhagavan Vedavyasa fit in, and what is the context?
First of all, Abhinandanam to wellness team. Krishnadvaipayanam Vande Sarva Loka Hite Ratham. This very statement tells that what was the mission of Krishnadvaipayanam Vyasa. His main focus was Purushartha. That was the main focus. He was so much worried about decline of Purushartha Chintanam. So, Urdhva Bahuhu Viromi Eshaha Nachakasti Shrunoti Me. Just raising my hand, I am giving call to many people. Nobody is listening to me. What is that? What was that problem? Sarve Artha Kamaparaha. So, Urdhva Bahuhu Viromi Esha Nachakasti Shrunoti Me. Dharma arthascha kamascha sakimartham na sevyate. Artha kama is good, but it must be based on dharma. On one side dharma, another side moksha. In between these two borders, if Ganga flows, then Artha kama also becomes as holy, as sanctified water of Ganga water. So, with this focus, we have to understand Vedavyasa. So, Purusharthas 4 are there, but 2 must be always supporting to establishment of Samaja, society as such. So, with this idea, he has taken editing the Vedas and propagating the Vedas and explaining insight embedded in those Veda mantras, so that with his mother's blessings and father's guidance, he has taken that mission. So, Vedas were there in their different gramas, villages and different family traditions, hereditary property type it was. First of all, he collected. When he collected, it was so much big heap that he edited and divided into Ruk, Yaju, Sama, Atharva. There were 21 branches in Rig Veda, 101 in Yajurveda, and 1000 Sahasravartma Sama, and Navadha Atharvanam. That is what Patanjali says in his Mahabhashya. So, that big heap he divided into Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka and Upanishad. That mission, first of all, he accomplished. He could accomplish it. So, in our order, it is very much scientifically structured order, because first of all, it must be in the form of aphorism, sutra type. So, Veda mantras are sutrasya sutram. Sutras are there after mantras. The first place occupied by mantras. They are in 1131 branches. Ruk, Yaju, Sama, Atharva. Totally, they are like. That is one big treasure house of Indian great masters like Rishis and Munis, and that is what Krishna says. Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastatha madbhavaha manasaha jataha yesham lokaha imah prajaha. That is what Krishna says. So, from that great treasure house it has flown up to this, but now we have only 9 to 10 branches out of 1131 branches, now only that much. But later on, just foreseeing the impact of the social order, Vedavyasa has taken another one mission, that is framing the sutras, aphorisms. That is why he has written Brahma Sutram. Brahma Sutram is nothing but interpretation of all this big heap, 1131 branches of 4 Vedas. It must be made very clear. This is very great Himalayan type of great mission. First of all, he has accomplished. Then he has taken framing sutras. So in that process, it is order is like that. First is mantra, then sutra, followed by bhashya. Bhashya will be followed by vartika. Vartika will be followed by karikas and tatparya tikas. And tatparya tika will be followed by vritti. Vritti will be followed by vada. Vada will be made still more easy by composing thousand lakhs of karikas and gadya, padya, nataka, etc. Many various kinds of literature. That is the descending order. That order, it was guided by Vedavyasa. So Vedavyasa's image is like this.
So it's a huge image when it comes to, because for us, like you said, 1131 branches of the Vedas. Today we hardly have 9 or 10 branches. So we had 1131 branches, which is now reduced to hardly available of 8 or 9 branches. Now
they vanished due to break of tradition in those houses of great masters.
Because all these were only from mouth to mouth and mouth to ear, and
that is what.
So that tradition, breakage of the tradition, we have lost. And even in that available thing, the greatest thing that Maharshi Vedavyasa,
but they are summarized in the form of sutras.
Okay.
Knowledge part, light of that, it is still there.
Still there. Okay.
But that order with so much intonation and pronunciation, which was just transmitted from mouth to mouth, there great loss occurred.
But still it is there as an essence, since the Brahma Sutra was created as an aphorism and
form.
Aphorism form. So we still have the content. It's just that expansion is not there in terms of actual.
It is not only Brahma Sutra, even Jaimini Sutra, Nyaya Sutra, Kana Sutra. They have, because they have taken different parts of our life, covering whole walks of life.
Okay.
Some spiritual part that was taken care of Vedavyasa, and Karma Kanda taken by Jaimini, and Padartha Shastra, it was taken by Kanada, physics it is.
Correct.
Another Nyaya Shastra, it is epistemology, it is called epistemology. Epistemology was taken by Gautama. And Sankhya, Prakriti Purushavada, it was taken by Sankhya, Sutradhara, Kapila, and Yoga is taken by Patanjali. That is how six systems. So Vedavyasa you talked about. So today we are highly reverence that we have for Vedavyasa is one, he gave us the simplified form of approaching the Vedas in terms of smaller branches, and also in terms of separating Upanishads, Aranyaka, Brahmana and Samhita parts, and then he gave the Brahma Sutras as a aphorism. That is how order was maintained. Just now, before I came here, I have composed a poetry. Vade Vade Jayate Tattva Bodha Bodhe Bodhe Jayate Sattva Shodha Satya Shodha Bodhe Bodhe Jayate Satya Shodha Shodhe Shodhe Nutna Ratna Prakasha Shodhe Shodhe Nutna Ratna Prakasha Deeptau Deeptau Satchidananda Bhasa. That is how Vedavyasa has taken the mission and accomplished.
If you can quickly explain this for the English viewers.
Then that Vada order, it takes place of eighth place, I think, in that order. Started from mantra to up to Vada, from Veda to Vada. That we have engraved here in this hall only. We can say Vade Vade Jayate Tattva Bodha. That ends. That is the ending part. Vedo Nityam Adhiyatam. First statement. Starting from Veda, then moving to through sutras and bhashyas like that, Ante it is what Vade Vade Jayate Tattva Bodha. Here in this Guru Bhavana we have made this arrangement.
So it is like going from the toughest area to the
subtlest.
simplified, subtler area to the simplified, and which we can assimilate, probably we can absorb and assimilate to that area. You
so
have
Vade Vade Tattva Bodha. Bodhe Bodhe, when the enlightenment is achieved, there will be Satya Sakshatkara, realization of eternal truth. When that is actualized, then there will be certainly real light, Sakshatkara. It comes to us. We can master it.
it's an experience.
Yes, experience and actualization. One more word.
Yes.
And when that actualization comes to us, there the real Sakshatkar, Sat Chit Ananda Bhasa. Satchidananda Bhasa, there the real culmination of Vedavyasa's achievement. That is how you can put
Wonderful. Now, starting with the Shankara Bhagavad Pada's lineage. So, can you just give us information as to how this Vedavyasa's Brahma Sutras and the Bhashya of Shankara Bhashya, so how this is connected through the lineage?
There are two lineages. Sadashiva Samarambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. There is one lineage. Narayanam, Purnabhumam, Vasishtam, Shaktincha, Tatputra Parasharancha, Vyasam, Shukam, Gaudapadam Mahantam, Govindam, Yogindram, Athasya Shishyam, Shankaracharyam. Up to this, that lineage flows, just like Gangadhara.
Okay. So in this lineage, just for the listeners, it is not the father to son, grandson. That is not the lineage.
No,
this is
that.
Gnana Parampara.
Only Gnana Parampara.
So there can be huge difference in time from Narayana to Brahma to whatever the Vedavyasa can be in a completely different time period. Shankaracharya is completely different time period. But it is the Gnana Parampara.
Unbroken tradition.
Okay.
It is like that. Because those Vasishtas and all, they were in all 2-3 ages, 2-3 yugas.
Yugas.
So that is why we can't say that the tradition is broken.
Okay.
It
It is
is-
continuous tradition.
it is
It is
perennial.
not in our like today if we see hereditorial. It is not hereditorial because it is the hereditary in terms of knowledge. It's not in terms of genes. It is the knowledge hereditary that what we are talking about. That's just for the clarity for the viewers that this knowledge tradition is continuous and it has come up to Shankar Pada's
Yes.
Bhagavad Shankar Padas. So moving on to Aditya Ranganji. So on the same lines, how Vishishtadvaita or Sri Ramanuja's tradition looks at Vedavyasa, and also what has been the lineage and the continuity of the knowledge?
Definitely. From the Vishishtadvaita viewpoint, from the Guru Parampara viewpoint, Vyasa, Vedavyasa Krishnadvaipavayana is considered to be one of the foremost to whom we are indebted in all senses, because as Kotemane Mahodaya has already mentioned, the lineage of how Vedas ultimately end up into developing a Siddhanta. That is how it comes. So there is a famous shloka which says Vyasaya Varishtaya Varenyaya Mahatmane. So they want to praise Vyasa's contribution as the highest for the emancipation of all jivas. The true intent of this life here, at least as a human being to start with, is to attain moksha, the state of eternal bliss, find out truth, state of eternal knowledge, eternal reality, and eternal bliss. And this information, due to the effect of Kali Yuga per se, it demotivates people from seeking truth in the right direction. They need a lighting lamp, a guiding lamp, and Vedavyasa is considered to be the foremost as a guiding lamp. Vedavyasa is also given the position which we already know, Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave. So he is considered to be the very embodiment of Mahavishnu, the very embodiment of Brahman's mercy in order to work towards the emancipation of all jivatmas and guide them towards moksha. Talking about the Guru Parampara, in Vishishtadvaita, there are 3 Guru Paramparas. One is the Alvar Guru Parampara, which talks about the greatness of Saguna Brahman in the form of Sriman Narayana, who is considered to be ultimate, and talks about loving devotion towards him. The second one is Acharya Parampara, which talks about the tattvas involved. Now there has to be a root for these tattvas, and the root is provided by the tradition of Rishi Parampara, which is provided by Vedavyasa. The lineage starts with Paramatma, Sriman Narayana, followed by Brahma, followed by Vedavyasa, and then there are a series of rishis: Tanka, Dramida, Kapardi, Bharuchi, Guhadeva, Bodhayana. And then Ramanujacharya, during his visit to Kashmir, in order to obtain the commentary, Vritti, written by Bodhayana on the Vedanta Sutras or Brahma Sutras, gets access to the same and continues the tradition. It is to be understood that Vedavyasa is termed as Sutrakara, Bodhayana is termed as Vrittikara, and Ramanuja is termed as Bhashyakara. Ramanuja does not establish a new school of thought, rather claims to revive the tradition of Vedavyasa through Tanka, Dramida, Guhadeva till Bodhayana. So this is again similar to Advaita tradition. It is a perennial river-like lineage starting from Paramatma himself, Narayana Samarambham, we say Lakshminatha Samarambham, then followed by the Rishi Parampara till Ramanuja, and goes ahead with 2 schools of thought again, one followed by Vedanta Deshika, who is also known as Vedanta Acharya, and another followed by Manavala Mamuni. The Acharya Parampara starts with Narayana, followed by Mahalakshmi, followed by Vishwaksena, considered as the commander-in-chief of Vaikuntha, followed by Nammalvar, followed by Nathamuni, Yamunamuni, and Ramanujamuni, with few acharyas in between. Okay. So there is always an intersection of acharyas, alvars, and rishis to arrive at Vishishtadvaita philosophy. So we are indebted in that way. There are 2 more points I would like to mention.
Sure.
We are so much indebted because in one of the Puranas, Bhagavata Mahapurana, it is also mentioned that Satyam Satyam Punas Satyam Udhritya Bhujamuchyate Vedat Shastram Param Nasti Nadaivam Keshavat Param. This is a statement which is made by Vedavyasa, and it aligns with the Vishishtadvaita philosophy as per the Sampradaya, considering Sriman Narayana as supreme. So therefore we are indebted in that way. There is also the composer of Vishnu Purana, Sri Parashara, is the father of Sri Vedavyasa. So he is also, we are indebted to both the father and son in that way, continuing the lineage.
Wonderfully summarized in very short time. Thank you so much, Aditya Ranganji. And now coming into the Dvaita philosophy, in the absence of today, Dr. Pratosh, scholar should have come. In his absence, I would quickly talk about the Madhva philosophy, or the how Bhagavan Vedavyasa is the original source of all the knowledge for the Madhva Sampradaya. जयति पराशर सोनुः सत्यवती हृदय नंदनो व्यासः यस्य आस्य कमलगलितं वाङ्मयम् अमृतं जगत् पिबति. Vedavyasa is the son, Parashara Sonuhu, Parashara Rishi's son, and this is the shloka that talks about Bhagavan Vedavyasa. So in this tradition, Vishnu Sarvottamatva is the ultimate thing. So Lord Vishnu is considered as the one supreme reality, which the entire Vedic scriptures are created only to explain the qualities or explain Bhagavanta. So this is the ultimate truth that we need to achieve, is the Vishnu, and Vishnu Sarvottamatva is the hallmark of the Dvaita philosophy. And Madhvacharya came in this lineage, and the same Rishi Paramparas, whatever we talked about up to Parashara, also continues here. And just going forward, it is the different time frame. If you talk about where these things came up, so Madhva philosophy, the lineage starts on this, and in terms of Brahma Sutras, Madhvacharya wrote Bhashya. He is called Bhashyakara. So covering this Prasthanatraya has been the major work of all the three acharyas. Shankaracharya wrote Bhashya on Brahma Sutra. At the same time, he wrote Upanishad Bhashya, the famous Dashopanishads, and he also wrote Bhashya on Bhagavad Gita. So these three are considered to be the most important scriptural references for us to connect to that ultimate truth that is commonly agreed. And in the Madhva Sampradaya, in addition to these three, Madhvacharya wrote Bhashis Bhashyakara, and of course Vedavyasa is the Sutrakara. Vedavyasa wrote the Brahma Sutras as per the Uttara Mimamsa Shaddarshana tradition, and Brahma Sutra. Then for that Brahma Sutra, the commentary on that Brahma Sutra is the Bhashya, and that Bhashya is written by Madhvacharya. And also Upanishad Bhashyas, he also wrote 2 granthas on explaining the Gita from his perspective. And also in addition to that, he also explained on the Puranas and Itihasas. He wrote the Bhagavata Tatparya Nirnaya on Bhagavata to connect all the contradictions within the Puranas. Also in terms of, he wrote Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya. Because when you say Vishnu is ultimate, you cannot say Vishnu is lower when a Rama cries for his wife. You have to prove your point. So that is the responsibility of any Bhashyakara. When you give a statement, you are supposed to give conclusive evidence, conclusive explanation to each and everything, and that is what we have seen in the lineage of Madhvacharya. And since it is the latest of the all, if you talk about the version, we normally talk about in software version 1, version 2, version 3. So if we are able to understand, relate it in from that perspective, there was one version which is continued. Now even today, you know, you may be in the latest version of the software. If you want to move back to the previous version, you can always move back if you like, because many a time when you bring a new version, the software does not work properly. Many functions would fail. So you have to keep upgrading and then work. In many a time, for certain application, the latest version does not work. You would have seen Microsoft, many versions have failed. That is why the new version came. So, but still for some systems, the old version still works. So we need to understand from this light that the version 1, if we consider that as the Advaita, the 8th century, given by the Bhashyakara, that is Shankar Bhagavad Pada. There is another version in the 11th century, Ramanuja, and it is all in terms of trying to give the different lights, different paths of understanding the truth. Now, in the Madhva Sampradaya, what we see is there is additional, in terms of text, the explanations given why Vishnu is Sarvottama, and in terms of also connecting the contradiction in the Purana, in terms of what is contradiction within. If you see the life story of Krishna, it is or Kurukshetra, any aspect you pick it up, it is differently expressed in Bhagavata, it is differently expressed in a different Purana. Even if you look at the Brahmanda Srishti, it is explained, there are many contradictions. In one Purana, it explains in this fashion, and it is explained in a different fashion in a different Purana. Or if it is also differently talked in Mahabharata, it is differently spoken another version. So how do you connect all these things if all this is not explaining the same ultimate reality? Then we need to have the contradiction explained. So that is the work that is done in addition to the Bhashya that is written by Madhvacharya. With that, we will move on to I will now take the role of the moderator, and now coming into the second round. Now, we will go through in this round in terms of understanding the basic tenets of the philosophical sampradaya of each of the three, and then also explore what are the commonalities with relation to the other two schools of thought. We are only, for our simplification, considering these three main schools of thought: Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishtadvaita. Maybe at a later stage we can include many other darshanas other than the Vedanta darshanas also. Now, in this round, I will move on to Sri Ramachandra Kotemane Mahodaya. Sir, my question to you is in the Shankar Bhagavad Padas, because today there are so many, in every, not only with Shankara philosophy, Ramanuja philosophy, even with Madhva philosophy, there are so many distortions. Lot of people, the original tattva is something else, but it is understood in a different way in the today's context. There is so much of, unwanted things gets mixed up, and because of misunderstanding or the popular, things that gets mixed up with the Shastras, to eliminate all that, I would like to first request you to give us the basic tenets of Shankara philosophy, and then cover us where it actually probably sees the commonalities with Vishishtadvaita and Advaita.
Already I have summed up what is that perennial underlying philosophy of the Vedas. If that is clearly understood, there will be no controversies. That is why I deliberately, insightfully used Purushartha.
Purusharthas, correct.
And Arthakama must be under the control of Dharma Moksha. There all acharyas, they have their very common understanding. When Purushartha is not properly understood, then what will happen? Loka will be misguided, society will be misguided, and it will be troubled by all these modern problems which we are facing now: health, psychological problems, teenagers' problem, all these problems, because of overplay of Arthakama. There Krishna has given proper guidelines. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarashava. Kama is very, very great. It is the root cause for the continuation and retaining of this whole Lokayatra. So that Artha also like that. But these two must be sanctified. How to sanctify these two? When we add these two values, Dharma and Moksha. Here all acharyas, they have the same disciplinary understanding. And Bhagavad Gita was taken as the real authority. There, the real core is taken by all three.
Correct.
And Prasthanatraya is the source book for all three. And another very important point is this Sattatrayam, Vyavaharika Satta or Paramarthika Satta. These two we have to take. In Paramarthika Satta level, this whole world, it is only one. Sarva bhuteshu yena ekam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tajnanam vidhi satvikam. So this is the Satvika Jnana. This Satvika Jnana, there no place for any fission, any division, because apparently this is diversified. Inherently what it is? Same Atman permeated everywhere. So this particular understanding, it is the real understanding according to Krishna Paramatma. There again the following sloka tells Pruthak Bhutam. Pruthak. This is different, that is different. This type of understanding, it is the real scientific understanding, but not spiritual understanding. So understanding must be divided into spiritual understanding and scientific understanding. In the spiritual understanding, Sarva Bhuteshu yena ekam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu. It is anekata me ekata, not anekata. So anekata is apparent part, inherent part is ekata. This part I think when I studied all three acharyas, there they agree.
Correct.
But this prithakvam, it is very much highlighted. Parthakyam, ekatvam na, parthakyam.
Parthakyam.
This cacophony, this particular cacophony between prithakvam and ekatvam, it led to all type of vada vivadas. More than vada, it is vivada.
Vivada.
We want samvada actually. If we will sit like this for samvada, there will be no cacophony, everything symphonic. That is how it is. So their understanding is very much clear. So when we go to that spiritual height, no parthakyam, prithak that word is there, that becomes rajasic. If you go for more and more fission, no. That is why unification, that is the word you
fission to fusion.
Fusion it is, integrating it is. That they also they have the same. And another very interesting thing is when you take bhakti, actually there will be some difference of opinion in understanding level and jnana level. But when you take bhakti, highest value of spiritual practices, there is no difference at all. All three acharyas give utmost importance to bhakti. Bhakti and definition will be little different, but Shankaracharya takes bhakti to mukti level. So bhakti ritya vidhiyate, anusandhanam bhakti ritya vidhiyate. That is how it is. Bhakti means it is almost ekatmata jnanam. Ekatmata it is, that is correct word. Ekatmata. Atma level ekam. Anatma level, material level, it is anekam. It is agreed. All acharyas they agree. In the Vyavaharika Satta and Pratibhashika Satta, how can we integrate? Not at all possible. Kaka is kaka, pikaha is pikaha.
Crow is a crow.
Yes, that is why that we have to accept. Correct. But at that height, we have to accept that ekatva. There only we have to make our young generation to understand all these things. It is very good now. So I can just say that integration is the real inherent flow underneath it is. But apparently some areas are there, there actually this parthakya and ekatva vada vivada started.
So if I have understood the basic tenets of the philosophy, Advaita philosophy is that you have ekatvam on one side, paramarthika satta, and then there is prithakvam, that is what we see, Vyavaharika satta, and then there is
that is illusion. Yeah, the pratibhasika means illusion.
Pratibhasika means illusion. Now in this what we feel is, for us what is applicable right now is for all the people who are there in this world, because we are seeing this duality in the world, that there is like you said, crow is a crow and pigeon is a pigeon, and so there is a difference that we are seeing in this current world, and you need to move beyond that. So at the scientific level that you talked about, we do face this duality, but when you become ekatma, when you reach that stage of ultimate reality, and when you are able to go through that ekatvam, through that bhakti marga, you are able to actually realize that it is all one and ekatva. So what I have popularly heard as the basic tenets.
In the practical level, in Dvaita Shankara Sampradaya also, it is just like in puja paddhati and all, this is very much common.
Correct.
So much commonality.
Correct. So we also do Shodasha puja. Everything is done.
Only understanding. That ultimate, at the ultimate level, in understanding only there is a difference. Okay. So Vishishtadvaita. It is Advaita, it is Vishishtadvaita. That is Dvaita, it is Advaita. This vibhaga only at the level of liberation.
Okay.
That means there is only jnanam, it is. Even bhakti, karma also, they become little bit in the secondary level. First one is knowledge. There they have differences. Bhakti, if you take, everything integrated. That is why nowadays this is very popular term, that ekatma manavata, ekatma manavata darshanam, where we can integrate both Vyavaharika and Paramarthika.
Paramarthika.
It is not that we must always segregate these two.
Okay.
At Vyavahara level only, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa and many acharyas, they have brought Paramartha. At Paramartha level also, they were just like taking care of welfare of the society.
Correct.
So Madhvacharya has taken Nana Janasya Shushrusha Kartavya. That is a reference
Correct.
from Bhashya. Madhvacharya, Srimad
Karma's
Madhvacharya
definition, he says
yes,
Nana.
Nana Janasya Shushrusha Kartavya. Ramanujacharya, just for Nana Janasya Shushrusha, he gave Vasudev mantra to every section of the society.
Every section of the society. So he made everyone Brahmin in terms of being the real sense of going towards God, the search of the Brahman, the search of reality. Ramanuja
And
did.
Shankaracharya, Chandalostu Satudvijastu, Esham Anisham iti, at that level, when Atma level, it is everything one.
Correct.
So Chandala's Atma and Vedavyasa's Atma is not different.
Correct.
That is why the shloka, Manisha Panchakam shloka is very popular. Atma Sakshatkar level you go, Chandalostu Satudvijostu, Gururityesha Manisha Mama. So Gurutve, that is the Tatparyam. So these are all integrating salient points of these three acharyas.
So Dvaita is inclusive of Vishishtadvaita and Advaita, because Ekatma, when you talk about, you say in the reality, Vyavaharika Satta, whatever you are talking about in the Dvaita in terms of differences, whether it is Panchabheda, whatever you are
Navabheda.
Navabheda.
Yes.
So many Vedas that we talk about and the differential difference, but all this is inclusive in the reality till we reach certain stage, and there is Vyavaharika as well as
Navabheda. Madhvacharya told about Navaveda. Nava Satvika Rajasika Tamasika, he integrated, he making it divided by.
Correct.
What is that?
Permutation
And computation. So that he 9. But now in this world, it is Nava.
So too many things. There is difference between brother and brother also, and husband and wife also. There are difference of opinions across.
Nava Veda is emerging.
Since we are talking about the understanding the Shankara philosophy, the Advaita, as a Ekatma Bhava, there is a popular misconception, because what I understand from the basic level is the 5 important things in Advaita. That is, one is Aham Brahmasmi, that Ekatma is the one. Mahavakyas, whatever we four Mahavakyas. So if from this, now today people use this Aham Brahmasmi. In fact, I have seen many talks from Jagadguru Shankar Sringeri Swamiji removing this misconception in terms of when we say Aham Brahmasmi, people say I am God. So you become God. So if you say that, it's actually an I have seen Swamiji saying that it's an insult. Don't say that. We never say that you are the God. We are saying the God is one. There is one universal consciousness. There are no two things. So when you say Brahma is the universal consciousness. And can you show some can you throw some light on what is this thing that people should, when they actually think about Aham Brahmasmi, what they should actually look at? Is it like I become God, or I am the same as God, or it is, because if I say I, then there is two things.
This is to be put forth like this. At jnana level, at karma level, at dhyana level. 3 levels we have to understand this one. There, Vivekananda's book, it helps for real understanding. That is Anusthana Vedanta. Anusthana Vedanta. In our Vyavaharika world, it is always, it is duality only.
Duality.
It is Dasoham Bhavaha.
Ha.
It is in Bhakti shlokas, Tadbhritya Bhritya Paripalaka Bhritya Bhritya Bhrityasya Bhritya iti mam smarano kanatha. That Dasoham Bhava, for bhakti it is very much needed. Sacha Parama Prema Rupa, according to Naradiya Sutram. Athatu Bhakti Vyakhyasyaamaha. So there, that is, one is karma level. First of all, let us take karma.
Karma level.
Karma level also, when we do many duties like Krishi and all these things, there also Prema Bhava and Bhakti Bhava, Paraspara Sauharda Bhava, these are very prominent. Otherwise, some are karmikas, some are dharmikas. How can we divide again and going division? There also actually Advaita Sakshatkara is possible. That is what in Puranas also many stories also, some Bhakta, Shiva Bhakta, he has given his own eye to
Lord
Shiva. That much integration.
Kannappa.
Integration has its own role to play in karma level also, at karma level also. In dhyana level, it is always there. Because when we go to that level, we cannot maintain the same inferiority or I am so inferior. Bhagavan also gives so much intimacy and proximity. With that only Partha Sarathi could exchange their thoughts and Partha Sarathi could enlighten Partha. That means as he goes on sharing his knowledge, Krishna transmitting his insight to Partha, ultimately in 18th chapter, the same thing. Sarva bhuteshu yena ekam bhavam avijayam ekshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu. Vibhakteshu avibhaktam, not avibhakteshu vibhaktaptam. So that is called, that is the real sutra of ekatma manavata darshana. So anekata me ekata. Anekata me ekata. This now in practice. When even very great masters, great saints like Payavarshi Charanaha, Vishishtadvaita Charanaha went to some areas of our
scheduled caste, scheduled
downtrodden people. What was that insight? The follower, staunch follower of Dvaita philosophy, in his Vada Vivada, and I was person to witness all this in Udupi only.
Okay.
But in practical field, when it was the real necessity of the time, Yuganukula Dharma, that question came, we forget that duality and we come to Sarva Bhuteshu Yena Ekam Bhavam Avijam Ikshat. That is why in three kandas, Karma Kanda, Dhyana Kanda and Jnana Kanda. At Jnana Kanda, it is not so easy to integrate. Because Jivatma Paramatma Cheti Bhedat, it is Bhedavada, very strong. And practically when we see, we cannot say that all are Ekam. No, just like same. Taka Pikka Ekam, we cannot do.
Okay.
Kshira and Khara. Kshira and Khara, you cannot make
The
it
salt and the milk cannot be the same thing. It will be definitely different.
That is why Madhvacharya Bhinnascha Bhinna Dharmascha.
Correct.
It is pure scientific theory.
Correct.
That is why Madhvacharya Siddhanta, it is very much scientist friendly.
Scientist friendly.
Scientist friendly.
Correct.
Because scientists, all, even though they go to God particle level, God particle, up to that one they have experimented recently.
Correct.
And they were talking about quarks and like that, Anu Paramanu, Paramanu. That is how they were searching. Ultimately, they went to that level of God particle. But that God particle also, it is not purely energy only.
Correct.
It is also a particle.
Correct.
It is also an article. Then that is not Satyasya Satyam. Satyasya Satyam is beyond that. Beyond all these scientists.
So
there, Shankaracharya's Advaitavada helps. That is what very great philosophers like even great lawyer, our Nani Palkiwala, he has written a book called Perennial Philosophy. Name of that book is? perennial philosophy.
Perennial philosophy.
But that means when we go to the jnana level, beyond karma and bhakti, reach jnana level, there it is totally integrated. Jivatma loses its separate existence and he will be integrated with Brahman. Jiva Brahmaivan Aparaha, that is the ultimate cream of Advaita Vada.
So going into the second one, that second tenets, the four Mahavakyas,
Mahavakyas are different. Prajnanam Brahma, Ayamatma Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, and they are from Mundaka Upanishad. Another one is from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Another one very important Mahavakyam is Tattvamasi. It is from Chandogya Upanishad. Prajnanam Brahma, it is from Aitareya Upanishad. Four Mahavakyas.
And another tenet is that Jagad Mithya, the world is unreal.
Mithya, the Brahma Satyam, Jagad Mithya, that word. And Jivo Brahmaivan Aparaha, total version is like that. But Jagad Mithya Vada, no Tatparya. That is where we have problems. So Jagad Mithya Vada, that is the main thing, main statement. If we argue like that, then Maya Vada comes there.
Comes in.
When Maya Vada is highlighted out of proportion, out of the context,
it will lead to too much of chaos.
Too much cacophony. And another one important thing is, the Maya Vada word is not at all used in any this one. Prasthantraya. It is Brahmavada word is used. So Brahmavada has its own very important role to play, that is to be understood properly. Unnecessarily highlighting and arguing in favor of this Mayavada, it has created so much chaos.
Okay. So we need to know what to, for the current generation, what to focus on and where to integrate things so that it will be helpful for
now only on consciousness.
Consciousness.
There we can integrate both Vijnana and Vedanta. Vedanta also tells about consciousness. That is ultimate. There is no difference of opinion. It is consciousness only. According to Sriman Madhvacharya, according to Sri Ramanuja and Shankaracharya also. It is the same. Consciousness. Scientists also, after Einstein, all those Max Planck, James Jeans, and recently this Stephen Hawkins, they all come closer to Vedanta Vijnana.
Correct. So ultimately, understanding the consciousness becomes the real discovery of truth.
Both main thing is Vedanta and Vijnana are integrated, and all these three means we have to include Shakti Vishishtadvaita also. With all humbleness, with all this one I earnestly feel.
Okay.
Because Chivamurti Shivacharya and Shikanta Shivacharya's Bhashyam, which is so very profound. That is how all the four we have to make it.
Okay.
So that we duly both Vaishnava and Shakta.
So the Shakta tradition is not ignored. So that the Shakti Vishishtadvaita is also something which has to be Shakti Vishishtadvaita.
That is one. In this Angana only we have integrated all four. All great scholars have spoken about these four schools of thoughts.
Bhatta Mahodayaji, you have beautifully, explored how to connect. One, in terms of, you talked about the Sattatraya and how this is all intermingled also, in where it is possible to connect. Now, all the duality is required in the real world in terms of scientific inquiry, in terms of understanding. At the same time, you can also bring in the Ekatma, whatever the feel is. Probably Ekatma Darshanam, like the greatest saints like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Vivekananda, they have shown it in terms of
actualized and shown.
Actualized and shown. Yes. So that way it is not like it is something that there is I am the God. So all those wrong interpretations that I don't have to do anything, Gnana is important, Karma is not important. So if it is not important, then why do we do all the rituals? The Homa, Yagna, the Puja, it is required to purify our Chitta Shuddhi. So it is important, the Parampara is important, the Acharana is important, and following of all the Vedic rituals, the Shastra Vidhi is very important. At the same time, you live with the realities of the duality through the Vyavaharika Satya, so which integrates the Dvaita part of it. With the Bhakti moment, you said the importance of Bhakti in Shankara Sampradaya, which actually talks about, you see, go to Sringeri Sharada Pita, you see the, all the four Amnayas and the amount of the devotion that is there.
Atmattatvaanusandhanam bhakti ityuchyate.
Bhakti Rityuchyate. So Bhakti importance, when you say, you automatically connect Vishishtadvaita, because Bhakti Pratipadane is Prapatti. So Sharanagati is that what I will move on to the next stage to Aditya Rangan. So you really made a wonderful, logical point as to how to integrate both Vishishtadvaita and Dvaita for the common man. For someone who has an inquiry within, he can always pursue greater detail as to where he actually finds it is convincing for him. It is an internal journey, but for the common, as a follower of Indian philosophy, as an Indian citizen, as a Bharatiya, for me, it is all the three things I can find in one Dvaita. I can find Advaita as well as Vishishtadvaita philosophies which are integrated at the same time. In the Advaita, if you talk about, this is not the difference, it is not a dividing factor, it is a thought process that is given at different times by the great Acharyas. Now, moving on to the same question to you, Sri Aditya Ranganji, that Ramanuja Acharya he wrote Sri Bhashya for Brahma Sutras of Vedavyasa, and he gave a very, very unique perspective to how to attain moksha. And also it is very different from Dvaita philosophy, because it is not the Dvaita, it is Vishishta Advaita. It is a special Advaita. It is Advaita, Vishishta Advaita. And why it is Advaita? Because it is not said Vishishtadvaita. Vishishta plus Advaita, if I am correct. Because it is an Advaita. Because Vishishta, there is a Dirgha Sandhi, so it is Vishishta plus Advaita is Vishishtadvaita. But it actually, in the outset, if you see, it is very closer to the Dvaita. Because it talks about Vishnu Sarvottamatva, it is also very close to the Dvaita philosophy. And in fact, most of the things, almost 90% the common man can understand, you can find it in Ramanujacharya. Whatever you say that Vishnu Sarvottamatva, all the things are there with Ramanuja. So if you can talk about the basic tenets of Ramanuja philosophy, what is the basic tenets, and then can address the commonality, because I always feel that Vishishtadvaita is like a bridge between the Dvaita and Advaita. Though Advaita accommodates Dvaita in terms of Vyavaharika Satya and the realities of life, the things, but Vishishtadvaita brings in that specialness. That's why probably there is Vishishta in that. So if you can give us...
so Vishishta also has its own Vishishtartha. That is what we are...
So over to you, sir.
Thank you. Sure, Mohanji. To start with, as you mentioned, Vishishtadvaita means Vishishta plus Advaita, which means qualified monism. It is Advaita, but it is qualified with characteristics.
Okay.
Those characteristics are known as prakaras, gunas, or visheshanas. It agrees. Brahman is one reality, always. There is no doubt about it. But this Brahman is qualified. He is qualified or associated with two other things. What are these two other things? We talk about Tattvatrayas. One is Ishvara, that is Parabrahman. Then there is Chit, and then there is Achit. What we call as Jiva and Jada. Jiva corresponds to Chit, and Achit corresponds to Jada. So it is a qualified, wholesome entity where all the three are part of one reality. And they are inseparable. That is what we call as Apratak Siddhi. They are inseparable, but they are different. They have a connection, just like how you have a string with pearls joined together to form a necklace. Similarly, this connection between Jivatma, Paramatma and Jagat is eternal. So this is the first point, core tenet I would like to mention. There is also mention of Eko Vishnu Mahad Bhutam Pratak Bhutan Yanekashaha. Ishvara is one, but then there are different Jivatmas. So there are many statements like this from the Vedas and other scriptures, allied scriptures. Srimad Chechamate Harihi Parataraha Tattvatrayam Bhedataha. There are three tattvas, but they are different. But they are connected to each other, associated with each other. This is the first point. Second one is, it talks about Sharira Shariri Bhava. That is, if we say that everything is one, and if we say that there has to be a relation between Jivatma, Jagat and Paramatma, how is it? It is in the form of a body-soul relationship. Just like how I have a body and I have an Atma associated which controls the body. Similarly, Parabrahman, Ishvara, Sriman Narayana, what we call, he is the inner controller, inner dweller of the body that constitutes the Jiva and Jagat. The third point is, Brahman is qualified with infinite number of characteristics, attributes, qualities, Ananta Kalyana Gananvita, which means Gana Gunanvita, sorry. Gunagananvita. So he is associated with, those characteristics cannot be, Natasya Vachapi Bhago Asti. It cannot be spoken, it cannot be. However, for the benefit of mankind, in order to establish a relationship and ensure that we have a path towards moksha.
If you say infinite, you cannot understand the infinity.
Yes.
So you have to define it in some ways.
Yes.
The Ananta Guna, if you talk about,
Yes.
it infinite qualities, you cannot assimilate. So
Yes.
that's what you are coming to.
Yes. So in order to do that, he predominantly showcases, there is one definition for Bhagavan Shabda, Shadgunya Paripurita.
Utpattim nidhanam chaiva
Yes.
bhutanam agatim gatim vetti vidyam avidyam cha savachyo bhagavaniti.
Bhagavaniti.
Bhagavataha, definition of Bhagavan.
Yes. And associated with this, there is also mention of this Jnana, Shakti, Bala, Aishwarya, Virya.
Shadnama Bhagavan Niti.
So these are some qualities which Bhagavan possesses alone in order to showcase it for the benefit of Jivatma so that it gets attracted towards him. Not to say attracted, in the path of realization of truth and attains the state of mukti. Talking about the differences again, Brahman is considered to be Saguna. And Nirguna or Nirvishesha, whatever is mentioned in the Vedas, is interpreted in Ramanuja's philosophy as one of the gunas itself, among the infinite number of gunas. If we are calling Brahman as Nirguna, it means he is devoid of all bad qualities.
Defectless.
Kalyana
Without
guna.
defects. Kalyana guna.
Kalyana Guna.
Yes. So he is not associated with any kind of defects, blemishes, or any kind of qualities that bring about a bad impression. In simple words.
Yes.
So that is one. That is why Brahman is always considered the highest form of Brahman. Paramatma Sriman Narayana is Saguna, filled with divine qualities. Next point is importance, of course, is given to karma, jnana, bhakti as usual, but at most important as a sadhana or upaya in order to attain mukti is given to prapatti or sharanagati. What is this prapatti or sharanagati? There are different kinds of yogas mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, in the Vedas, Upanishads, etc., where people or any entity performs, for example, in the direction of knowledge, Jnana Yoga, in the direction of performing actions perfectly as prescribed by the Shastras, Karma Yoga. And then we have the Hatha Yoga, Ityadi. Anything that is done in perfection will lead towards Mukti. Definitely it will lead. But the problem is, that includes Bhakti also. Bhakti we talk about, Navavidha Bhakti. Now Bhakti is important. It definitely leads towards Paramatman. But does it, it guarantees only when performed in a perfect
way.
Perfect way. What is Bhakti? Unalloyed devotion towards Paramatma 24/7, let us say. Is it feasible? Is it possible? And Ramanuja's philosophy, Acharya told already that Madhva's philosophy is more on scientific basis. While Ramanuja's philosophy, I would like to say
Feeling-based.
Feeling philosophy.
Emotion.
But then these emotions are something which are not mundane. like what we see in
Emotion towards the
towards
Supreme.
Paramatma. When you have an emotion towards Paramatma, it is
Sublimated emotions.
yes,
Sublimated. That
yes,
is the correct
sublimated emotion.
Emotion.
Exactly. So, what is this prapati? It is the asahayakatana. The
Means I want to get that surrender,
Yes.
but I am not able to get
I
that
am not capable
height
enough.
of the devotion.
Yes, yes. I am not capable enough to perform any of these kinds of yogas in a perfect way. But that I want mukti.
Bhakti yoga I want to perform,
but I am unable to do.
I can't think of the God all 24/7. I am getting all other thoughts only.
Yes, practically speaking, yes. It is very difficult to always think about Paramatma, always. There are great Mahatmas who have tread the path of Jnana, great Mahatmas who have tread the path of Bhakti. But I am a Pamara. I am a normal layman. But does this birth, being born as a layman, does it make me
Inferior, not
no,
capable of
yes, incapable of attaining mukti? Does it
stop me from
stop
attaining
me?
moksha?
Yes, exactly. Does it snatch the opportunity to get moksha? So when I say feeling, what comes into picture is first one compassion. And through this path of compassion, it is also mentioned in the scriptures. There is a famous Charama shloka in the Vishishtadvaita tradition, which appears in the Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyapi ma shuchah. This is given utmost important to define prapatti. Prapatti is a situation. Prapatti or sharanagati is a state where we talk about highest level of dependence on Paramatma. I am capable of even doing basic karma in a perfect way. Therefore, I surrender unto you as the only soul and goal of life, so that you take care of me and you drive me towards mukti. In the Vishishtadvaita philosophy, Paramatma is Swatantra. Jivatma is Atyanta Paratantriya. Aswatantra, completely. Because it is the nature. They say it is the Swarupa of Jivatma to be
dependent on
Paramatma. He is Bhokta, we are Bhogya. He is the supreme enjoyer and we are the object of enjoyment. Now, when the supreme enjoyer takes lead, of course, we will have to do an initial act of surrendering, but then he will take us. And there are mentions from Varaha Purana, etc., about how he will remember us at the time of our emancipation, and then he will lead us towards mukti.
So, at the time of death, I should be able to remember and have his thought.
Not necessarily. Now, there is also a famous Shadvakya mentioned by Kanchi Varada, the Lord Varadaraja of Kanchi, to Ramanuja, where he says, Ahameva param tattvam darshanam bheda evacha. Then he says, Dehavasane mukti syat. At the time of death only you will attain mukti. And there is also mentioned that there is no need of remembrance at the time of death, because you have already performed Sharanagati when your limbs, all your body.
So he will give remembrance.
Yes.
Okay. So you don't have to put an effort.
He will put.
Okay.
This effort is not absolute. When I say that I should not put effort at all, it doesn't mean that I have to sit silent, not do anything. No.
When he has to lift you up, however, you must expand your hands.
So just like how a mother approaches a child and the child responds to the mother's love. Similarly, we perform karma, bhakti, jnana, etc. because it is as mentioned in the Dharma Shastras, as mentioned in the Vedas, as part of our lifestyle, being born as a human, being associated with specific varna and specific dharma, ashrama.
Just surrender is not, but you have to surrender. At the same time, you have to do Shastra Vidhi, whatever you are supposed to follow.
Yes, there is no compromise on or any kind of transgression allowed regarding the Shastra Vidhi, but the Upaya is Sharanagati, to attain Mukti. One more quote tenet is about the reality of world. Jagat Satyatvam. This world is just a beautiful Leela of Bhagavan is what is mentioned.
Leela.
There is mention of Nitya Vibhuti and Leela Vibhuti. Nitya Vibhuti is eternal state of consciousness called as Mukti, specifically in Vishishtadvaita called as Sri Vaikuntha.
Brahma Sutra also is there.
Yes.
Lokavattu Leela Kaivalyam.
Yes. While this...
Vyasa, we have to
Connect to the Bhagavan Vedavyasa.
Bhagavan Vedavyasa. And also this creation is a play. Leela Vibhuti.
Leela Vibhuti.
Vibhuti is what is mentioned in the Sampradaya. And Bhagavan, having created this universe, pervades each and every entity in order to ensure that we are performing our actions as per his directions, as per his sankalpa. Therefore, he projects himself in 5 forms again: Para, Vyuha, Vibhava, Archa, Antaryami. Para is his supreme form in the state of supreme bliss in Sri Vaikuntha, what we call as where all the muktatmas, once they attain mukti, jivas, any jiva, once it attains mukti, it is there. Then the second form is Vyuha, in the form of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. He carries out the aspect of creation, sustenance and dissolution of the universe, timely, in a cyclic way. And third one is Vibhava, in the form of avatars. We talk about Dashavataras, we talk about the 20 plus avatars as per the Srimad Bhagavatam. It could be Avesha avatars, Amsha avatars, anything for that matter, in order to again bring about bliss in this world, in order to connect people towards supreme bliss, in order to drive their attraction towards supreme bliss. And then there is Archa. Archa in the form of deities in temples. Archa Avatara. Not only in temples, even in home worship. Each and every deity is considered to be Paramatma himself. And with loving devotion, we perform seva.
Whether it is Ganapati, whether it is whichever devatas you are talking about, or
No,
is it
is
only
Vishnu.
Vishnu.
Yes. There is also differentiation between the devatas and Vishnu.
Okay.
So Vishnu is considered supreme, while devatas all fall under the jiva category.
Jiva category.
They are high, elevated.
Higher order, souls of higher order.
It talks about Ekadevopasana. There is only one Mahavishnu,
Because
Narayan.
Sharanagati can be only to one.
To one. And thus Narayana is associated with Lakshmi eternally. They are called as Divya Dampatis. Shriman Narayana is the word Shri of Pati. Because he is not independent without Lakshmi.
Correct.
He is always associated with Lakshmi, just like how you have parents.
Yadavapradaya,
Yes.
Shriyapati, Srimati Shasitun Jagat.
So, like you need to have a father and mother, you cannot have only father. So, you have Narayana and there is Lakshmi also.
Yes. And then they are inseparable. Just like how Jivas and Jagats are inseparable from Paramatma, she is eternally inseparable.
But they are different.
They are different.
This is very, very unique what you are bringing in. They are inseparable, you are saying you cannot separate them, but they are different.
So, in a way, when I try to connect it to Dvaita, there is difference. When I connect it to Advaita, it is Apratak Siddhi. That it is one reality ultimately.
Apratak Siddhi, that is the terminology.
Specifically.
Vishishtadvaita.
So
the Vishishtadvaita means this Apratakatva Siddhi.
Apratakta Siddhi.
Yes. And there is also this, what happens in Mukti.
Mukti.
Now, as per Advaita, they become one. There is identification with Paramatma and Jivatma, self-identity. Since Vishishtadvaita, the Sampradaya of Ramanuja, as I mentioned, it is feeling oriented. More importance is given to Kainkariya is the word used. It is just another word for seva. Kinkaratva.
Kinkaratva.
Kinkarosmi Hrishikesha Bhuyo Bhuyosmi Kinkaraha.
Service of the Supreme.
Yes. Service of the Supreme. So even in Moksha, there is difference between Paramatma and Jivatma. And Jivatma, because its Swarupa, eternal nature, inherent quality itself is to serve Paramatma. It is Sachidananda Swarupa, no doubt about it. There is commonality among all the three philosophies. But its intention is to serve Lakshmi Narayana.
So there are two different entities. There is that Supreme Bhagavanta as a Supreme Consciousness.
Yes.
At the same time, there is this Jiva, which is acquired liberation, but it is also in the Swarupa Bhuta.
Yes. And there is difference. He is Vibhu, Jiva is Anu.
Anu.
Vibhu is all pervading. Jiva is Anu, it is atomic in
So
nature.
Sarva Vyapta. He is omnipresent.
Omnipotent, omniscient. While Jivatma is omniscient and omnipotent, that potency does not involve Srishti Sthiti Laya Karya.
Jagat Vyapara is not there. Varjya.
Varjya.
Brahmasutra sutram idam. Jagadvyapara varjyam.
Varjyam.
And then, so it wants to enjoy it, and this enjoyment once in mukti, in mukti bliss is considered equal for all jivatmas.
Okay, according to Ramanuja.
According to Ramanuja's philosophy.
There is no difference
between
one jiva, whether it is Indra jiva or whether it is Agni's jiva. Both of them have the same amount of enjoyment.
How is it substantiated? Mukti is a situation highest level.
It is called Ananda Taratamya
In
Madhva philosophy. Madhva philosophy, there is gradation in quality of bliss and quantity of bliss also.
Here there is a gradation in quality of bliss only, not quantity. Qualitatively, if I would want to say, in Sri Vaikuntha, if I would want to experience the bliss of Krishnanubhava, seeing
Krishna
Srimad
Leela.
Narayana in the form of Krishna Leela, if I would want to, or if the Bhagavan himself wants to showcase, enjoy Krishna Anubhava with me, then he grants me the same episode. It keeps replaying in the state of Mukti because it is unlimited, infinite. So there, if I am doing service to him in Dasya Bhava, Vatsalya, or any Madhurya, then there is again Vipralambha, Madhurya, Sakya, Parakiya, many
So
types.
you can do in any format, as him as a God, Lord, as him as a friend, him as a
parent, as a son, anything for
you can become parent, he will become son. So you can do it in multiple forms.
Madhurabhava means Radha Madhava.
Radha Madhava.
If it is
As a lover.
Yes, as a lover. If it is Parakiya, again it can be considered through Radhika. If it is Swakiya in the form of Rukmini, for example.
Okay.
Now, in the form of Hanuman, in the form of Dasya. Now, it does not mean that I become Hanuman. The experience, the bliss experienced by Hanuman, experience or bliss experienced by Garuda,
by Indra. Okay.
the kind of bliss, it is Bhagavan who grants. And it is also mentioned that that amount of bliss is equivalent, not exactly equal. There is a misnomer again. It is equivalent, whatever Bhagavan gives. So qualitatively it is different, but quantitatively it is same. This is because you cannot compare orange with an apple. The bliss or happiness obtained by eating orange has its own taste. Dasya has its own taste.
But if I understand from the viewer's point of view, 1 kg of apple and 1 kg of orange.
Right.
So in Dasya Bhava, you may get 1 kg of apple, and in Sakha Bhava, you may get 1 kg of orange kind of. If you eat 1 kg of orange, but the quality of orange is the same.
Quality.
But the quality of orange is different than the quality of the apple. The taste of apple is different in Dasya Bhava. Taste of orange is like the friendship, Sakha Bhava.
Correct. In order to elaborately explain this Bheda, Ramanuja mentions about Sajatiya Bheda, Vijatiya Bheda and Swagata Bheda. Sajatiya Bheda, Sajati means same species. So he says there is no difference between same species.
Okay.
Vijatiya Bheda, difference between different species. Then
So then this is about moksha. Just to cut it short, because we need to move into the next section. So you are talking about in moksha that jivas are having the same quantity of swarupa, just that experience will change
qualitatively.
Okay, please continue.
And Swagata Bheda is within oneself. If you consider a human, there is a difference between my hand, my feet. But still, this is part of me.
Yes.
So this is applied to the relationship between Ishvara, Chit and Achit, and it is also applied in the state of moksha, how they are interrelated.
They are together, but they are different. So the together talks about the Advaita part of it, and the different parts about it, that separation talks about the Vishishta part of it, if I have understood correctly.
And then one more important thing is during moksha, the Jivatma always wants to ensure that there is a difference, because it
tells Ananta Kalyana Guna. But Shankara's emphasis is on Nirguna.
Nirakara.
Yes.
So in order to explain that better, because it is feeling oriented, I want an object, Bhokta and Bhogya, as I mentioned. So there should always exist a relationship.
Correct.
And this relationship is maintained even in moksha.
Because
so
you
that-
can't be alone and feel emotional.
Emotional.
Because if you are alone, you have to be nirguna.
Yes.
If you have to have emotion, you need to have somebody connected.
Yes.
In the form of the friend, in the form of the wife, in the form of husband, or any relationship. But relationship ke liye two entities are required.
Yes, these two entities, in order to establish the concept of Sat, Chit and Ananda for the Jivatma as well, only when there are two entities, there is an incident that happens.
Okay.
That is known as reality. So it is considered as ultimate reality. So that is one thing. Only when there are two entities, there is knowledge. Oh, you exist, I exist. Therefore, I interact with you, you interact with me. So this represents jnana. And then ananda, happiness is obtained only when there is interaction between two entities. It does not mean that it is strictly limited to that. It is only to enhance the rasa, what we call, right? Bhava and rasa. This interaction is required between the Paramatma, who is a Bhokta or master, and Jivatma, who is a Kinkara or a Bhogya Vastu.
So, if now talking about the basic tenets you gave us beautifully in terms of how bhakti is the pradhana, and in that also we cannot attain the bhakti at the ultimate level. We are incapable of reaching that level. So, if we are going through the acharya,
Yes.
if that is the connect that you are trying to establish, that if I surrender through Ramanuja,
Yes.
that I am the follower of Ramanuja, and because I am the follower of Ramanuja, probably Ramanuja's connect bhakti with Lord Narayana is in the already that stage. So he would probably give me that power, and he will enhance my bhakti, even though I am just following only the Shastra rituals and I am off the track many a time. I am not in the track of Bhagavanta. My mind is not always with Bhagavanta. It may be with many other material things, but because I am surrendering to the fact that you are the ultimate, you are the independent reality, I am dependent on you.
Right.
You are Swatantra, I am Aswatantra, and I cannot have the capability to even do devotion, ultimate devotion to you. And I get distracted. So you give me this devotion and you take me to that ultimate devotion, and from there that prapatti, that total surrender will happen because of the anugraha of the Bhagavanta. It is Bhagavanta's compassionate quality that gives us the ability to connect with him at the ultimate level of bhakti, delimiting all other factors in terms of worldly things, and only finding that pleasure in the Bhagavad Dhyana, and in that state I get the mukti.
Right. Right.
After getting the moksha also I will stay separate, but I will have all the jivas are equal and they will have equal quantity of enjoyment.
Yes.
And they can have different kinds of varieties of enjoyment with
qualitatively.
Beautiful. Now moving on to how this Vishishtadvaita has commonality in Dvaita, also has commonality in Advaita. Because it is one, there is a Vishishta plus it is Advaita, that has to have Advaita component. And since it talks about Vishnu Sarvottamatva, there is so many things that is, and there is a Jiva and Paramatma Bheda. So there is a Dvaita concept also in this. Now can you touch upon the salient commonalities? Because it is in our discussion that we are focusing more on the commonality than the differences. So can you just take us through the commonalities?
Sure, Mohanji. To start with, let us see the commonalities with respect to Advaita,
So
as seen from
Advaita and
Vishishtadvaita. The first one is the pramanas that we consider. Veda, the Chatush Pramana. It is always considered as Shabda Pramana, that is common. Brahman considered to be ultimate reality, eternal reality, and the situation of moksha, that is also considered common. Third one is about the importance, equal importance given to karma, jnana and all other different yogas being part of, to be followed as prescribed by the Shastras, Sandhya worship, Sandhya Vandana ityadi. Worshipping, performing daily
the
rituals.
duties that are described as per the Shastras,
it
has to be followed. It is common with the Advaita also and Vishishtadvaita. Because there it talks about Vyavaharika Satta, and till you achieve that heightened stage, you follow the Shastra Vidhi. And
Yes.
Vishishtadvaita also talks about
The same. Also about the mention of avidya or wrong, ignorance to be the root cause of suffering in this world. That is also a common thing that is easily, accepted. Similar to Advaita. And also when the Jivatma attains moksha, it is a Satchidananda Swarupa, specifically Jnana, fully complete with Jnana, that is also accepted. And the level of bliss that we are talking about, equal level of bliss that we see in moksha, that is also equally accepted. More specifically, there is this mention of cause and effect. There is this cause known as, there are two types of causes in order to, for this entire creation to happen. One is Naimittika and another is Upadana.
Upadana. Nimitta Karana,
Upadana Karana. Nimitta Karana is the primal cause.
Primal cause.
And Upadana Karana is the material cause.
Material cause.
Primal cause is also known as efficient cause. We give an example of this potter
and
clay,
the pot.
potter and the pot. So it mentions that Brahman alone is both the Nimitta Karana as well as Upadana Karana for the existence of entire reality, whatever.
The
we
whole
talk
world is created by Bhagavanta, the supreme reality.
Yes.
And also he is the one who is the material cause also.
Yes. Since he
is also part of the world. So
Yes.
the world is also Bhagavanta.
Yes.
And the creator is also Bhagavanta. Creation is also the supreme Bhagavanta.
Yes, it is mentioned that everything is one, but it is differentiated again as prakaras or gunas or visheshanas, modes or characteristics, that is Jivatma and Jagat.
So in this aspect, it is common with Advaita.
Advaita. And also Saguna Brahmopasana, that is mentioned in Advaita also. So
Correct.
that is also a common point, which is considered highest in Vishishtadvaita. That is the final.
Okay.
Now coming to Dvaita, commonalities between Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita. First point is Hari Sarvottamatva. There is no doubt about it because no compromise also.
On that. Sri Hari is the ultimate.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have aptly added Sri Hari, which is Hari along with Sri.
Lakshmi.
They are considered to be the ultimate. As I mentioned, along with this Srishti Sthiti Laya, the capabilities, and Shri of Patitva, being the husband of Shri. These four things are not applicable for Jivatmas in Mukti. Other than this, all different kinds of bliss they can experience. Jagat Satyam, the reality of this world, to be one thing.
So even Vyavaharika Satya, so Advaita also accepts that this is
Dvaita. No, with respect to Dvaita we are talking. Right? So Jagat Satya, 100% material world is true, but it is temporary, it is ever changing, it is prone to changes, but it is real. It does not, it undergoes changes, it exists, but it undergoes changes, it is reality, existential reality. Third one is about Bhakti, Jnana and Vairagya that are given utmost importance in Dvaita, right? The same holds good for us also. Only thing is we don't consider specifically as a sadhana. Sadhana is always Sharanagati to attain Paramatma, not because these sadhanas are incapable or not because that they are incapable. Rather, it is our incapability as lay people to attain moksha as soon as possible, to follow all these Bhakti, Jnana, etc. paths in a perfect way. What is common? Talking about Vairagya, giving importance to renunciation in life, having detachment towards material things. Jnana, always having knowledge about Paramatma as the sole protector. Because I mentioned Ekadevopasana, that is he himself is Paramatma. So, just like how a married lady does not look at anyone, but looks at
only the
husband. Similarly,
ideally, according to the Shastra.
Ideally. So, for a Vishishtadvaiti, specifically a Sri Vaishnava, Paramatma, Sriman Narayana alone is everything. So, in that way, it is also common with respect to Dvaita.
Okay.
Refutation of Sayujya. there are different kinds of mukti: sayujya, samipya, salokya, sarshti, and so on. Sarupya. Now, sayujya is refuted because sayujya means becoming one with Brahman. So Ramanuja says that it does not happen. He always ensures that there is difference between Brahman and the Jivatma, and it experiences continuous bliss in any form. So in these ways they are common. Other than this, as per Sampradaya also, following the Pancharatra Agama, etc., there is also adornment of Shankha Chakra, Tapta Mudra. But this happens only once in lifetime. Again, not as a sadhana, but as part of Prapatti, Sharanagati. One of the 6 angas of Sharanagati, 5 angas of Sharanagati. It is followed. This is one example of how, as per Sampradaya, it is common between Advaiti and Vishishtadvaiti. And then also there is one commonality about a dream being real.
Okay.
Swapnavastha being real. So that is also mentioned as it is real. It is not unreal. It is also an experience of certain karmas which we may not be able to experience in this physical body, that would be experienced in a state of dream.
So you get rid of some of the karma not by actually living through it, by dreaming it.
Yes, exactly.
Something bad has to happen. Instead of that, it happens in the with the anugraha of Bhagavanta. Bad dreams it will get over.
Yes, so that your account will get easily cleared. Exactly.
Okay.
So these are some common points.
So wonderful. Thank you so much, Aditya Ranganji.
Thank you.
Because we got a clear idea of the Vishishtadvaita, the basic tenets, and also how it has common features with Advaita in terms of being that Saguna Brahma is there here also, and there is Nirguna Brahma is there. But here the Saguna Brahma is common in both the things, and you consider Saguna Brahma as the ultimate reality, Vishnu Sarvottamatva. Then there is also commonality in terms of Gnana, Bhakti, and of course
Vairagya.
Bhakti is the major things, and all the Shastra Vidhis, whatever we do rituals, it is common to both Advaita as well as Vishishtadvaita, and that establishes that even if you follow the Vishishtadvaita path, there are things that Advaita concepts are also integrated to an extent. Then coming to the commonalities with the Dvaita philosophy, it has the core thing that Jiva is separate and ultimate reality Bhagavanta is the supreme, and Bhagavanta is independent reality and Jiva is dependent reality. And it is for eternal. There is not that right now I am dependent, after moksha I will not have to depend on God, so I can be on my own. So there is no such thing. So this difference is eternal, and
it is a single integrated reality.
So it is united but it is separate. That is what from the Dvaita point of view, it is common that in terms of there are multiple jivas and all jivas are equal, you say, but in Dvaita it says jivas have gradation, it is not equal, but the jivas are separate and it is dependent on the ultimate reality. And also you said the Srishti Sthiti Samhara, and in addition to that Shriyapatya, andre in terms of accepting that he is the Lord of the Lakshmi Devi. Other than that, jivas are all same in terms of
just to add clarity, jivas are unique, but they are all same mean to say Jiva Koti.
Okay.
We say conglomeration of different jivas. They are unique. They are different. But when we say equal, they are qualitatively different but quantitatively
equal. So then from that aspect, the jivas are different. There is a commonality with Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita.
Yes.
So that has been a wonderful summation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So far we have completed the basic tenets of Advaita and Vishishtadvaita philosophy, and also what are the commonalities in Advaita in relation to Vishishtadvaita and Dvaita. Also we have covered the commonalities of Vishishtadvaita in relation to Dvaita and Advaita. Now it is time to look at the basic tenets of Dvaita philosophy. Like I said before, Dr. Pratosh, the scholar, was supposed to come, for unfortunately due to health reasons he could not come, and I will try to, with the blessings of the gurus, I'll try to summarize the points for quicker review. What are the basic tenets of Dvaita philosophy? The Madhvacharya, who came in the 13th century, he wrote Brahma Sutra Bhashya to Bhagavan Vedavyasa's sutras, Brahma Sutras. Now, in addition to that, he also wrote all the Upanishad Bhashyas, and for Gita, he has written 2 granthas on Bhagavad Gita, Gita Tatparya, Gita Bhashya. Now, what are the basic tenets? So, we need to understand the basic tenets of Dvaita philosophy. The first and foremost is Vishnu Sarvottamatva. It is, the Vishnu is Swatantra. When I say Vishnu, it does not talk about the image that we talk about, the Shankha, Chakra, that is the visible form. But when we say Vishnu, it actually means one who is Vishal Dhatu, the one who is inside everything. Vishate, one who pervades everything, who stays within, that is Vishnu. We are not talking about the image that comes in with Shankha Chakra, that is also Vishnu, but Vishnu is everywhere.
Vishal
Vyaptav. So, Dhatu Patha. So it actually means, so anything that is inside is Vishnu, according to the Sanskrit grammar. So from that perspective, Vishnu is the ultimate reality is the indweller of everything, whether it is matter, whether it is the life, jiva, he is the ultimate reality. That is the Antaryami. So Antaryami is the best word that is describes what is Vishnu. Now Antaryami Tattva, and he is the ultimate reality, and he is the ultimate controller of everything. Now this Vishnu Sarvottamatva is the first tenet of Dvaita philosophy. Now, keeping this as the Dvaita philosophy, now if he is Sarvottama, there has to be people who are not Uttama. Uttama means best. So, good, better, best we say in English. So, if one can be best, everybody cannot be best. Then there has to be some people who are just better than the good, and some people who are not better, so they are just good, and some people who are not even good, they are average, and then some people who are bad, then there are people who are worst. So there has to be a other thing. So in this all the philosophies, we talk about what is the Jiva, Jada, Ishvara relationship. So Ishvara is Vishnu Sarvottama, so he is the independent reality. Then all other Jivas are innumerable, infinite number of Jivas are there. And each of these Jivas are dependent on their Antaryami. So the major another concept is Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. Now every Jiva is alive, it exists because there is an Antaryami Pratibimba, the reflection. The Bhagavanta, the ultimate reality, is there in the cosmic form. We call it as Brahmanda, and he is also there inside our Jiva, that is Pindanda. So the Pindanda, when we talk about, is this body and is this Jiva. Inside the Jiva, Jivantargata Paramatma. Atma is Jiva. Atma, inside the Atma, the indweller is the Paramatma. And that Jiva is unique. That is another important factor of the Dvaita philosophy, that every Jiva is unique, not only unique, and the inside him, the Bhagavat Swarupa is also unique.
Bimba Pratibimba Bhava in Dvaita, Amshamshi Bhava in
Amshamshi Bhava in Vishishtadvaita. So this is Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. Now, if we understand this, now then there is innumerable souls, no doubt. Then how do you define Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Agni, Rudra? There are Devatas. The Jivas that are of higher order or souls of higher order, we call them Devatas. The Sattvika, Rajasa, Tamasa, in that quantity, the Sattvika Jivas, where the Sattvic portion is extraordinarily high, that becomes the Devatas. Then the Rajasic are the Jivas, then there are Tamasic, then there are Danavas, then there are evil forces, the Asuras, there are also Jivas, and for Asuras, it is they are the Jivas, and inside the Asuras also, Jiva also, there is a Jiva, the Antaryami Bhagavanta. So the Pratibimba is the Jiva. Bimba is the ultimate reality, that is the Bhagavanta. That Bhagavanta is available in two forms. When we say Shri Hari, Hari is actually the name. There is Hari Kathamrita Sara. There are a lot of things talked about that Hari, that Bimba Rupa Bhagavanta. What is his story? And what is that that you can know about him, that Supreme? It has to be within you. That realization has to come within you. And you have to see that Hari inside. That is what, to see inside, you need to know how he is outside. And what all the activities and all this Bhagavata, Puranas, all the stories that we see is to understand the Mahima of the Bhagavanta. Ultimately, suppose the Brahma is the Adi Jiva. So there is a gradation that it talks about, that the next to who is the, there is a steps of gradation. The ultimate is Vishnu Sarvottama. He is the number one position. Who is the second position? Who is your second position is the Lakshmi Devi. So Lakshmi Devi is again not independent. She is also dependent on Bhagavanta, but she is never unlike the Jivas. She is the beyond the Jivas, so she is called Akshara.
Then where is Mukhya Prana's place?
Then
He
comes
is the second.
So he is not, he is in the third place. So according to Dvaita philosophy, the first is the Vishnu
Fourth is
Sarvottama.
Bharati Ramana,
Ha.
Brahma.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Brahma and Vayu are equal. The third step, so there is in fact, if you see, there are 32 steps in the gradation, and all the Devatas are fit into this gradation. In fact, if you see Dvaita school of thought, if you do not know this gradation, you are not
Gradation
considered
or
to
hierarchy?
be hierarchy. So the hierarchy, if you don't know among the Devatas, then when you do a puja to that Devata, if you consider that Devata, you have to know who is bigger than whom, who is smaller than
Who is
whom.
he? Who's Antargata? Antaryami.
Antaryami also. So that way it is very clear that clear gradation is given. There are 32 steps till the humans. We are in the 32nd step, and even among the humans there are Uttamadhikaris. The Raja is considered the higher soul, and the Adhamadhikari, Madhyamadhikari. So there are gradations of the soul, and amongst the Devatas also there are gradation. Brahma, now I talked about number one is Vishnu, number two is Lakshmi. Lakshmi, when I say all forms of Lakshmi, Lakshmi, Durga, Shri, Bhu, you call any three Devatas, everything gets into the Lakshmi form. Now, next to the Lakshmi is Brahma. He is the
Brahma
first
is not
Jiva.
Param Brahma. He is
Chaturmukha Brahma. Chaturmukha Brahma.
So he is called Bharati Ramana.
So, no, not Bharati Ramana. Bharati Ramana is separate. Now, how the gradation comes is Brahma. Now, in this is called Brahma Kalpa. One Brahma period, whatever we talk about, this is the life of the Brahma. Brahma means here, when I say Brahma or Vayu or Shiva, according to Dvaita philosophy, it is not the Jiva himself, it is the position. Now, you come and take Brahma Padavi. It is like the president of the company, vice president of the company, then comes the senior manager. So it is like the gradation.
Yes.
Now Brahma is the Padavi. Now today there is a Jiva in the, whoever is the today's Chaturbhuka Brahma, he has attained that stage. Now he has become a Brahma Padavi. He has gone. After Brahma, he will get the Mukti. So Brahma is not, does not, even according to Dvaita philosophy, Brahma has not got the Mukti. When I say Brahma, the Jiva which has taken the position of the Brahma. And he is the Adi Jiva. When I say Adi Jiva, for this Srishti. Now, this Srishti has happened multiple times according to Dvaita
After
philosophy.
Brahma, it is Rudra
Ananta
Devata.
Koti Brahmanda Nayaka, we call that.
Yes, yes.
There is so many times, and that also for us the time gap is very different. We think that it is this thing, but in a fraction of when the Vishnu just flaps his eyelids, or when he just closes his eyes and opens, in that thousands and crores of Brahmandas have come and gone. That is the Vyapti of the Bhagavanta that Madhvacharya talks about. So you cannot understand the Bhagavanta because he is infinite in quality and time and space. So, because of which you have to know within this space. Now, the jivas have come to this world to realize the Bhagavanta inside them to their capability, to their yogyata.
After Brahma, it is Rudra, I think. Rudra Devata.
Now, if I just tell about 5 steps very quickly, since you are asking, in terms of first is the Narayana, after that is second step is Lakshmi, third is Brahma, Vayu are equal in status, but the Jiva which is in Vayu right now, Mukhya Prana that we talk about, and that Jiva occupies the position of the Brahma in the next loka, because Vayu cannot go directly, the Jiva which has become Mukhya Prana now, cannot attain Mukti directly. It has to become a Brahma and then attain Mukti. And there are so many Brahmas in the Mukta Loka, the Jivas which have come to through the Brahma. And some people can attain Mukti at the Indra level, some people can attain Mukti at the human level, some people can attain Mukti at the Asura level also. For Asura, it is reverse. So in Moksha we talk about, just like Moksha, for Asuras, the Jivas which are Tamasic Jivas, for them there is Andhan Tamas. There is eternal hell. That eternal heaven, eternal hell. So for a Jiva which is Tamasic, his realization is finding that eternal hell, for which he has to do lot of wrong things. Not, if he does very small bad, Loki, if he kills only 100 people, he won't get his Andhan Tamas. He has to kill thousands and crores of people. And not just directly kill, he has to give torture to them. Because he has to face all this torture forever in the Andhan Tamas. So there is a Moksha concept, there is an Andhan Tamas concept. So according to the Jiva, then there is a Nitya Samsara. There are Jivas which will neither fall to this category nor fall to the Moksha. They will be ever in this cycle. These are the basic tenets. And in terms of Moksha, the major difference is every Jiva has to realize Aparoksha Gnana we talk about. It has to realize the Bhagavanta and see. See means experience. So Paroksha means all the Paroksha Gnana is through this Vedanta studies and following the Shastra Vidis. This is Paroksha. What you study outside, what is visible to your eyes is Paroksha. Aparoksha is not visible to your eyes but visible to your Swarupa. So when you attain that stage, you are able to experience the Antaryami Bhagavanta within you. That once you experience, your Aparoksha happens. Then once you have your Antar Darshana of your Bhagavat Swarupa, you have qualified for Mukti. But it doesn't mean that next day you will be taken, the one aeroplane comes and you will be made to sit there and you will go to Mukti. You cannot, because for Mukti to happen, this entire Brahmanda should be, Pralaya should happen.
Pushpakavimana is not ready for all.
So during the Pralaya, all these Jivas who have qualified, Pralaya means Brahma's period should be over. Brahma's period is something like 4,32,000 crore years. So 4.32 trillion years plus. So at that point of time, all the Jivas will go to Mukti along with Brahma. That is the basic tenets of Madhva philosophy. Now, what is the commonality with the Dvaita, Advaita? What is the commonality with Vishishtadvaita? Now, all this whatever we are talking about is the Saguna Brahma in terms of Dvaita philosophy, in terms of Advaita Sampradaya. So it talks about the realities of life, the dualities of life. So dualities of life is accepted in Dvaita philosophy to the extent of Vyavaharika Satta. So there is separation, there is duality, there is that Dasya Bhava which Ramchandra Bhatta Mahodaya explained, and we accept. So in that perspective, for the Advaitis, Dvaita is the first stage and Advaita is the final stage. But for the Dvaitis, for us also this is only the stage. So Saguna Brahma is the commonality, and again coming to the Gnana Bhakti Vairagya. Now, one extraordinary thing that Madhvacharya did, like we talked about the 6 darshana, Shat darshanas. Now what he also proposed is, he tried to bring in the Samanvaya amongst all the 6 darshanas. Like Yoga Patanjali Sutra, then Madhvacharya said Patanjali Sutra is correct, there is a Yoga Sutra, but there is beyond that, there is the Yoga Sutra. Similar Sankhya, if I start about Sankhya, Kapila Sutras are there, Kapila Maharshi Kapila Sutras. But if you go to Bhagavata, there is an avatara of Narayana as Kapila. And the Kapila Sankhya, it is very popularly known as, there to his mother, Devahuti, he explained the complete Sankhya Shastra, how to achieve moksha. And through that, he has given us that Sankhya Shastra. So he says...
The third skanda of
Srimad
Bhagavatam.
So what Madhvacharya says is, this is not separate. So we don't negate the Sankhya Shastra, because there is a Sankhya. In Bhagavad Gita, there is a second Adhyaya is called Sankhya, Lord Krishna talks about. So then he says it is all integrated. Similarly, Yoga Sutras, actually originally Dattatreya, Bhagavanta, Narayana, as Dattatreya Avatara, he gives the Yoga Sutras. And then you have Nyaya Sutras, then you have Purva Mimamsa, Vaisheshika. For each of things, he connects originally in the various Puranas. There are the original texts where Bhagavanta himself has come and talked about. So you connect that and then connect to the Brahma Sutras, the Karma Kanda. So in the Vedas, the problem that came is most of the Vedantins, when they are taking the Vedas as the overall text, they could only look at the Karma Kanda, Gnana Kanda. So there were selective kind of reference that I would only look at the Dharma Kanda because this applies to my vision. So Gnana Kanda. And Karma Kanda applies to some, because Karma Kanda you eliminate and you only keep the most authentic source of Vedas as Gnana Kanda. Karma Kanda you leave aside and only look at the Upanishad part of it. Even in the Upanishads, look at the major Upanishads, which talks about the Gnana Kanda. But there is a difference of Karma Kanda also. Then Shat Darshanas, there is a difference. In the Vedantas, there are differences, because every Darshana would look at what is there in the Vedas to their kind of vision, and accordingly they would create the philosophies and the following principles around that. So Madhvacharya philosophy, what Acharya Madhva did is, he actually, in fact, the previous acharyas did not talk much about the Puranas or the Itihasas. They did not give much importance. The Gnana Bhakti, since I am talking about the commonality, he actually explained, he wrote Bhagavata Tatparya Nirnaya, Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya. He said there is no differences that conflicts between the original Vedas and the Puranas. The Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavata and the Itihasa, that is Mahabharata, it is an explanation of the Vedas only. So he wrote a detail, like why Draupadi married 5 patis, 5 husbands, and why Lord Rama cried for the Sita. If he's because this is what most of the Western philosophy come and question our Vedantic truths and the Puranas, because they capture Purana. Purana is high conflict statements are there, so they can attack on that. So that is something they, so he wrote the clarification. He said every word in the scripture talks about only Bhagavanta, and to prove that he actually gave all the Shastras. So Guruji was talking about 37 Granthas, that it's called Sarva Moola Grantha. So he wrote lot of Granthas to explain this contradiction in various roles. Because when you say it is Avatara, because Rama is not different. In Madhva philosophy, Rama is not different from Krishna. And the avayavas are not different. Within the Bhagavanta, his eyes can do even hearing also, his ear can do seeing also, it can walk also. So there is no difference between the guna and the guni in Madhva philosophy. So it is everything Bhagavanta can do in all the forms. So from that perspective, that Madhva philosophy, it added lot of things for the Saguna. If we talk about commonality with Advaita, for the Sagunopasana, even if you want to do Sagunopasana, you need detailed understanding of the minor details. Like if I do Ganapati Puja, what is the position of Ganapati? Ganapati comes in the 18th step. Surya comes in the 12th step. So the first 5 steps, if we look at the Narayana, Lakshmi, Brahma, Vayu in the 3rd step. In the 4th step, Saraswati and Bharati. Saraswati, wife of Brahma, Bharati Devi, wife of Mukhya Prana. Then the 5th step comes Garuda, Shesha, Rudra. All the 3 are equal. So, and then it goes on till the 32 steps. So, you know, there is a clarity when you are doing a puja, when you are doing a ritual, what you are supposed to do. But Ganapati is the first to be worshipped in for all the Vigna things. So, inside Ganapati, we will, inside Brahma, inside Vayu, we look at the Mukhya Prana, Antargata Bhagavanta. So, that is the commonality. Saguna Upasana, it is very clearly explained, and that is the commonality. In coming to the Vishishtadvaita, the commonality is part of it. One, in fact, Nava Prameya Malika kind of a thing it is there. In fact, if you see that Nava Prameya Malika, everything talks about Ramanuja only.
Prameya.
Srimad
Madhva Mate Harif Parataraha.
So, ultimate reality
Satyam
is
Jagat
the Vishnu. Jagat Satya
Satyatah.
is what it talks about.
Yes.
And Bhedo Jiva Ganaha.
Harehe Anuchara.
Harer Anucharaha.
Nichocha Bhavangata.
Nichocha Bhavangata. So the Jivas are Bheda. It is different. And Harer Anucharaha. Antaryami, whatever he controls, according to that Jiva will move. And Nicha Ucha. There is a hierarchy of the souls of the order. And
Muktihi Naija Sukhanubhuti Amala.
what is Mukti? It is Naija Sukhanubhuti. The true experience of your Swarupa. What is not you, you should remove. So the only process of achieving Mukti is becoming what you are truly. Bhuktir Naija Sukhanubhuti Atula.
Bhakti Sadat Karana.
Bhaktischa
Sadhanam.
tat sadhanam. Now, ultimately, it said it is the bhakti. Bhakti is the sadhana. Through bhakti only that you can attain to know your antaryami and realize yourself. From that aspect, the Vishishtadvaita bhakti is there. But here it talks about bhakti along with gnana. Now, what the Madhva philosophy talks about is gnana, bhakti, vairagya, and gnana, bhakti, karma. Gnana, bhakti, karma are not separate. See, when you do gnana, when you get gnana, you need to do some karma. You have to read something. And when you read something, you need to be, when you do something, karma only if you are doing action when you are doing, without the technical knowledge of doing, suppose if you have to create a pot, if you have to make a pot, you should know how to do the pot. So you have to know knowledge also. So what Madhvacharya said, knowledge is not different from action. Action is not different from devotion. The more knowledge you get, more bhakti you get. So the more knowledge is about Bhagavanta you get, more devotion. The more you know about the person, how much you are getting from that God has created this world, He has given us this body, so much He has given. When you get to know so much about the ultimate reality who is inside you, you become grateful to Him, your devotion will increase. How much is giving to me? That bhava, that is what is the bhakti. So bhakti is inclusive of the knowledge, and there are gradations in the bhakti, that is also Navavidha bhakti. So Paripakva bhakti, apakva bhakti it talks about, and the ultimate stage for you to get to that realization stage, you have to know the Shastras. Shastra Pratipadya Bhagavan you should know, and that reality you should experience within and see Him and experience Him, aparoksha gnana, and that is common. Only thing is the what it will not take is, it is even in quantity of the knowledge and the bliss, it is different. The jivas are different. Like I said, there are Brahma. The mukti happens at jiva which reaches the Brahma stage. The Brahma's position, it will have, because his sadhana is big. Aneka kalpa sadhana, you will become a Brahma position. So because of this, the gnana is also high. So if you have done only 100 hours of study, your gnana is only, and bliss is also 100 hours of bliss. The higher the gnana, higher the sadhana, higher is the ananda in the mukti. So that is what is the explanation that is given. So the understanding is that there is commonality in terms of Vishnu Sarvottamatva with the Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, and there is tremendous amount of the entire thing is nothing but the first stage of Advaita. If you talk about all, the only thing is it is in much greater detail. The upasanas, the Bhagavad Rupas, everything is in minute detail, so that it is easy, you can get convinced from the point of view of
practicality,
following the day-to-day Shastra.
Yes.
So with that, I will conclude my role as talking about Dvaita. Now, coming into the final round, I'll take the role of the moderator now. So quickly, I will just take your opinion in terms of a common man. How do you see this entire? Because today we are talking about Sanatana Dharma, and every citizen in India should be looking at how do I follow this dharma in my day-to-day practice, because for me, I don't even understand Samskrita, I don't understand the Shastra, and there are deeper aspects. For a normal reason, how do we do
summarize it?
A quick view for a common man, Ramchandra Bhatt Guruji, what do you say? How do you, what a common man should do?
Dvaita needs so much elaborated explanation, because that very Dvaita, Dvidha Itam. So it is pakka, pure science, holy science. That is why our friend Mohan Rao has taken so much time to explain. There in Brihadaranyaka, even in Sankhyaatmaka, digital form also, whole Jagat is explained. It is 33 first. 33 means it is Trimshat Devata. Those Devatas, you can make it, put it in crores also. Trimshat Koti. But Trimshat? Trimshat means they are Ashtavasavaha, Dwadasha Adityaha, and Ekadasha Rudraha, Indrascha Prajapati. Total number becomes 33. It is purely explained in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad only. Trimshat. There you can add many more. It is very well portrayed by Shankara, Adi Shankara, in Devata Adhikarana. Devata Adhikaranam is there. Because what style you explained, in that style it is not. Again, when you summarize and make it pruned, there will be 3, there will be 2, there will be 1. That is how it is what come down, counting down, count down. 33, then it comes down up to 1, ultimately Brahman. That is how this Devata Mimamsa. What you have explained now, hierarchy, here there is no hierarchy. They are all, yes, it is very well portrayed in Rigveda. Indram Mitram Varnam Agnimahu Atho Divyaha Sasuparno Garutman Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti. In Rigveda it is Indram Mitram Varnam Agnimahu Ekam Sat Bahudha Vadanti. So this Ekam Sat, there the real emphasis of Advaita philosophy. Brahmaiva, Satchidanandam Brahma, Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma. That is how we summarize. And when we come to this Vyavahara Loka, there the more importance attached to life values.
Correct.
When you take up life values, guided by all this understanding based on Vedas, certainly it can be summarized Paropakara Punyaya Papaya Parapidanam. That is the real core summary of all Vedas, all Puranas, all Vadagranthas, what hierarchy I have told, starting from Veda to Gadya Padya Nataka up to this Sanskrit literature. This you can squeeze it into one Satya, Shashvata Satya. That is what we can understand. Actually, Advaita Bhaga, it is very easy to understand, because digitally it is only one. When you digitally you go to many hierarchies and elaboration, scientific mind may get puzzled. Now they want very much pruned and summed and culled out. They can understand easily. That is how we have to put it. As I have participated in many Vakyartha Sabhas, and where all these followers, staunch followers of Vidwans were there, I have to remember Magri Ranganatha Acharya. He was the chief of Dvaita philosophy in Mysore. And I used to go to him because Ganapati Vakyar Sabha was going on there in nearby Pandopara. Prahlad is now, what is that matha?
Vyasaraj Mata, he's the pontiff
there
of
we used to go to submit.
Okay.
There it was so much discussion, pursuit was going on, and scholarly discourse it was taking place. That is why I am so much acquainted with all three plus even Shakti Vishishtadvaita also. So when we take up this one to the practical level, then there is no cacophony actually. Main problem is we don't bring it to practical level and make it little more, still more complicated by adding many technological things and Tarkatandava. That is why we have to make it simple and more Vyavahara friendly. Then only we can understand. So there will be no such dilemma or dichotomy, and all these words are popular in English. Now we have to use that language. Which
So the
is
values of
user-friendly.
life that you talked about, Guruji, that Paropakara Artham. That is the essence of all the three.
Essence of that point I have to take. In 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, more than 20 or 30 values are enlisted. When you come to the 16th chapter, Daiva Asura also, very elaborate list is there. Abhayam Sattva Samsuddhihi, Dana Yoga Vyavasthitihi, Dhanandamascha Yajnascha Swadhyayasthaparjavam, Ahimsa Satyam Akrodhaha, Tyaga Shanti Rapaishanam, Daya Bhuteshu Aluruptam, Mardavam, Hrihi Achapalam, Iteja Kshama Dhritihi Shaucham, Adroho, Natimanita, Bhavanti Sampadam Daivim. That is how elaborately it is presented. So that one, if you culled out, make it summarized, it is only Paropakara Punyaya Paya Paya Paramedara. All great santas, Vedikaha Mantradasha Puranaha, Indram Yamam Matarishwanamahu, Vedantyo Nirvachaniyam Ekam, Yam Brahma Shabdena Vinirtishanti, Shaivayamisham, Shivaitya Yam Vaishnavaha Vishnuridistuvanti, Buddha Tatha Arhaniti Bauddha Jainaha, Sat Shri Akaleti Santaha. Shasteji Kechit Katijit Kumaraha, Swami iti Mati iti Piteti Bhaktya, Yam Prarthayante Jagadishitaram Sayeka Eva Dvitiyaha. That is how we put it. Chaturvedah Puranani, Sarvopanishadastatha, Ramayanam Bharatancha, Gita Saddarshananicha, Jainagamaha Tripitakaha, Guru Grantha Satangiraha, Eshaha Jnananidhihi Shresthaha, Shraddheyo Hridi Sarvada. That is how now this is the high time to integrate all these things. Wherever at knowledge level, cognitive level we have differences, that is to be respected. With due respect we have to stop all this type of cacophony. We must go for symphony.
Correct.
That is my humble submission.
Wonderful summation Guruji did. I think those who understand this shloka which he talked about, which has all the darshanas, including Bauddha, Jaina, Sikhism, everything he connected, including some people consider my father, mother itself is a god to me. So he covered everything in that, saying that end of the day, those values given in the Bhagavad Gita, that if you bring it down, it only makes that help others. Live and let live. That is the essence of things, and do things in a way that is useful to the society and not useful to yourself. So that is the message that is given. What would you like to talk, Sir Aditya?
So Guruji has already mentioned the essence or core essence of everything that we are supposed to do. Just to add flavor to it, I would like to say it depends on each individual's conviction. The easiest thing to follow is, okay, there is one Brahman who is reality, who is the eternal controller, and I identify myself with that Brahman, that is fine. Now there is also a scientific explanation given by Sriman Madhva, mentioning the elaborate description of all the different forms, etc. Now, if anybody is convinced that they would want to have a loving devotion-based relationship with Paramatma, trying to enjoy the different Kalyana Gunas that I talked about, infinite Kalyana Gunas, then I think if it convinces them, they can go ahead with it is not necessary that one has to be a Vishishtadvaitin. He can still be an Advaitin, he can be a Dvaitin and still have a loving devotion towards Paramatma. The first step is Paropakaraya Satam Vibhutaya, to be of good help to fellow beings. The second step towards moving towards moksha is to, they say that experience. We are given this body which is above the species of animals and birds. So given this intelligence, given this knowledge, try to experience the bliss in this world.
These are Dvaitopasakaha with Dvaita Drishti.
Exactly.
Dvaita Upasakaha with Dvaita Drishti.
Right.
In here you can make it to integrate, totally integrate.
Integration. Yes.
My Kuladevata is Ganesha. I have to go. I go to Tirupati. I go to Gokarna. I studied in Gokarna. So that all devatas are there. But drishti ekaya. Srishti bhavitamurhati pinde matir bhinna. Someone likes this one. That is why shloka also there. Shaivavayam nakhalu tatra vicharaniyam. Panchakshari japaparaha nitaram tathapi chetomadiya madhasi kusumava bhasam smerananam gopavadhu kishoram. Some devotee says, from my family order I am Shaiva. But my mind, when I just close my eyes for meditation, immediately Gopavadhu Kishora.
Lord Krishna only
Lord Krishna comes to me.
What can I do? I will rather follow Krishna.
Yes.
Okay.
That is how it is. Here, if you go to many great scholars like Appaya Dikshita and so many other great scholars, they came from that family. But they all in his Mukunda Stuti, he has added to his yoga. So Mukunda is my Yogeshwara.
And since you brought up this point, there's also a lot of confusion that we were discussing during the break, that people think Shaiva means Advaita. Actually, it's a very big mistake.
Just I told. Yeah. That is why in all mathas, even Shankara mathas, 3 are there. With this home proximity, I know Lakshmi Narasimha and Chandramoulishwara. That is how it is. Parampara is
there are many Shaivas who are Dvaitis. Yeah. There are many Vaishnavas who are Advaitis.
Advaitis, correct.
And there are many Shaktas who are Vishishtadvaitis also. So Vaishnava, Shaiva, Shanmatas that we talk about are different schools which predominantly worship a specific deity. While this is on a theological.
Because there is a Shankara philosophy, it doesn't mean that it talks about Shiva or it talks about Shaiva sect. It is not a Shaiva sect. They just want to clarify, because a lot of people think there's a lot of misconception today in the digital media that Shivoham. So that's a different thing. It doesn't mean that it is ultimate reality is the truth that
we are all seeking. So to summarize in one statement, I would like to say that to whomsoever, whatever they would like to follow, if it convinces them, be it Dvaita, Advaita or Vishishtadvaita, they should go ahead, because maybe that is Ishvara Ichha that they have to tread that path. So it cannot be completely negated that all these 3 paths are internally conflicting. They have common points, as Acharya ji mentioned, they have some differences, but those differences should not be highlighted because we are all practical here in the real world, so it does not add any value to the path that we are treading.
Ultimately, it has to be paropakarartham.
Yes.
That is the daily life may we have.
Punyaya, papaya parapeta. Paropakara punyaya.
So Papa Punya should be our whole goal. So our Arjana of Punya, the achieving of Punya should be the
Vices to be eradicated, values to be inculcated.
values to be inculcated.
Inculcated.
Absolutely.
That is how it is summarized by great Swami Shivanandaji Maharaj of Life Divine Life Society.
Absolutely.
He has written a book that one. Values. Also values to be inculcated. Vices to be eradicated.
And when we say values to be inculcated, we have to not forget that it is according to the Shastra Vidhi. It is very important that values are not human values, it is Shastra values.
Divine values.
Divine values are very important, and whatever is the divine commanded, Shastra prescribed way of living, you have to follow that way of living if you want to be a Bharatiya, and also you have to have any Sanatana Dharma you want to follow in life. You need to bring in these values, divine values as per the Shastra, and inculcate and do things that is good for the society. And removing the ego and other things. I think in conclusion, we have done this detailed understanding on Bhagavan Vedavyasa being the root, through which of the Vedantic all schools of thoughts. From there, we have tried to understand the lineage of each of the Guru Parampara, and we have seen the common, what are the basic tenets in each of the Parampara, Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, and we have also seen the commonalities, and the conclusion is, for a common man or a common Indian citizen, and irrespective of whatever caste, creed that he belongs to, he is the human, and he has lived in this Indian soil and is inculcated this Indian Samskriti. He has to follow the Indian Samskriti and live through it. And how do we live through it? Is the essence of the Vedas. All the Matacharyas talk only in one voice, that follow the divine path, follow the divine qualities in life. And with that, we conclude this extraordinary session and a great contribution from Ramachandra Guruji. Thank you so much, sir, for your guidance. And because to do the Samanvaya, it is important to have the person who has seen everything. And Guruji has been the role model for all kinds of philosophical thoughts, not just Advaita. So he has been with us, and he's been commenting and correcting us in a lot of our own contextual reference to the philosophies, and it's been a wonderful being with him today on this very special day. We are shooting this on this Jaya Ekadashi, and may this knowledge bring that transformation in the society. More and more often listen to this and try to bring in that integration. So entire Bharata, all the people, we the Sanatanis, we only take by one word, that we do good to the society and we don't harm anybody, and that is the ultimate Satya.
Krishnadvaipayanam vande sarvaloka hiteratam. Krishnadvaipayanam vande sarvaloka hiteratam. Krishnadvaipayanam vande sarvaloka hiteratam. So, Lokahite Rata, Krishna Dvaipayana is there to guide us on this chartered national highway of integrated ekatma daivika chintane. Vayam sarve samavetaha ekatmata sutrena baddhaha ekatmata sutrena alankrita Malarupena vayam bhavamaha iti uktva viramamaha.
And I would request Aditya Rangan to do the ending Veda.
Yes.
Sarve jana sukhino bhavantu.
Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, Sarve santu niramayah, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः।